Shivo, Quanto Shivo, the founder of Quanto Life, and he's going to be talking about partner with gods, the quickest way for self-development. Shivo.
Ritu, first, thank you very much for the warm welcome and wonderful to be here in this vibrant space and with so many of friends here. A lot of friends I know and lots of new ones. Thank you very much for being here. And as Victoria said, we are living in interesting and challenging times. Uh, in fact, the times got so interesting not very long back, just maybe 30 years back. Something happened 30 years back. And what happened was Earth started its transit through galactic equator. I don't want to go into details of that because that's another topic in itself. But what has happened is because of that reason, there is a huge onslaught of plasma. I would say that the amount of plasma which is flowing on the earth is 100 times than it was flowing 30 years back. And because of that, huge electric conductivity. And what that means is that because we all are electromagnetic fields, all are. So we can connect to each other to much more ease. And what that has done is that all our positive and negative, everything has become joined into one. And that is why it has become much more easier for the so-called energy parasites to encroach us. But what has also happened is, we knew in our scriptures, we knew that there is a bhulok, the earth plane. Then there are patal lok, the demon beings, the world of demons, and there is a devlok, that is the divine beings. So there used to be a huge distance. Now what has happened is because of this plasma flow, all these three lokas, the bhulokas, the patal lok, and the devlok, they all have crunched together. They have come together. So what has happened is that the demons can interfere very easily into the lives of humans. And at the same time, the devas, the gods and goddesses, the divine beings, they can also very easily connect to human beings. So we are not really living the lives as a human, but actually lives with beings which are very powerful on both sides, the negative and the positive sides. And so the fundamentals of self-development in this era have totally changed. I am sure you will agree with me that the deepest longing of any human is to evolve. Everybody wants to become better. We want to be more courageous, more knowledgeable, more intelligent, more rich, more beautiful, more this, more that, right? And that longing is very divine because the cosmos itself is evolving. Cosmos also is becoming better and better. Though you will be very surprised to know that, today we kind of, all of us accept evolution as a given fact of life, that life evolves. But just 30 years back, just 30 years back, neither science nor religion believed in evolution. Science said that cosmos is vast, but the final sum, it is fixed. That's what Einstein also said. Buddha said that zero is the highest reality, shunya, the highest reality. That means there is no evolution. And if you see the Christianity and Islam, they kind of talked about the devolution in the world, not evolution, devolution. That the consciousness is going down. And that's why they portray world as a challenge, as an ordeal you have to cross. So world is not about causing an evolutionary leap in you, but it's a challenge where you will be tested, right? Now, the only religion in the world which talked about evolution as the deepest fact of life is Hindu religion. And the one evidence is very clear. One of the most beautiful names of the God in Hindu religion is Brahma. Now, what is the meaning of Brahma? Brahma is means that the ever expanding one, the one that expands always, all the time it is expanding. So it is a religion which is based on the evolutionary principle of the cosmos. Now, Hindu religion also had other dimensions, and that was that it had lots of god and goddesses. Like we had the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Kali, Lakshmi, Saraswati, and then there were so many of gods and goddesses which were there. So 3000 years back, there used to be many polytheistic religions. There was Greek religion, there were Egyptian, Sumerian, all of them were polytheistic religions. But today, none of that exists. Only Hinduism exists, which is polytheistic. So, can I ask you, can you suggest me that why, what is the reason that Hinduism could survive, the polytheistic religion could survive the very difficult times, the Kali Yuga times, which started 2000 years back, 2500 years back. So, can anybody of you suggest that why is that Hinduism could survive that? If you see all the religions today, they are monotheistic, means they believe in one God, right? That is the Islam, the Christianity, the Buddhism, the Jews, all are about one God, right? And the Hinduism is the only polytheistic religion. But the beauty of the Hinduism is that it is monotheistic as well as polytheistic. The other polytheistic religions, like the Greek, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, they were polytheistic, but they were not monotheistic. So what is Hinduism is that there is one God, and from that one God, there are various dimensions of cosmos emerge, and that becomes the multiple gods. So it's a very unique religion. And so these gods and goddesses, they represent the various dimensions of evolution. For example, we talk about so many qualities we want to imbibe, the courage, the intelligence, the knowledge. So all these qualities exist in this cosmos. Already they exist. Those vibrations are still there, and we can just tap into those vibrations. And when any of us, the greatest sutra of evolution or the development, I am using the term evolution more than self-development, because I feel that is a higher term. So the evolution, the greatest sutra of evolution is given in our scriptures, which says Aham Brahmasmi, means I am God, I am one with God. And what that means is that we all have electromagnetic field, and the cosmos has an electromagnetic field. It's a scientific fact that there is one electromagnetic field which binds everything together. So when my electromagnetic field is aligned with the cosmic electromagnetic field, that is a state of Aham Brahmasmi. And it was said in our scriptures that it is a natural state for everyone, that I am God. But the truth of the matter is, today we don't experience that. So what happened? Why is that we don't experience the Aham Brahmasmi? And the reason was Kali Yuga. So there is this Yuga cycle, which is 24,000 years. It's a 24,000 years of Yuga cycle. And there are two phases in that. One, first is the descending phase, and then is the ascending phase. So what descending phase means, that there was a highest consciousness, Sati Yuga, then came Treta, then came Dwapar, and then came Kali Yuga. So when Kali Yuga came, the consciousness was so low that we couldn't experience our own nature. Brahmasmi we could experience. And we got disconnected. So it was very difficult to live in the moment. And this is what the greatest master, the first greatest master of Kali Yuga, Buddha, realized, that we are entering Kali Yuga. So his focus, that's why he denied God, because the experience of consciousness was very low. So there is no experience of God. So that's why he denied the God. But he said we have to cleanse our samskaras. What is the samskaras basically? Nothing but what we call in our modern terminology as subconscious. So he gave the beautiful technique of vipassana to cleanse our subconscious. But now again, we are in the ascending phase of Yuga cycle, and we are already in Dwapara Yuga. So the experience of God has already come back, and not just Dwapara Yuga, we are also in the phase where we are into this huge plasmic times. So the experience of God has come back. Not only it has come back, but also it has become very easy to experience God today. So now the dimensions which I am going to talk about today, the gods and goddesses, we have known about those dimensions from Vedic times, from Puranic times, and all the mythological tales we know today, they were written 5,000 years back by sage Vyas. But the fact is that those were very different times, and now the times are very different. So the gods, nature of the gods and goddesses have also changed. They have also evolved. Now we are in a much higher conscious times than the times when these tales were written. These tales, the mythological tales, were written in descending yuga, but now we are in ascending yuga with the plasmic times. So the nature, all the gods and goddesses have evolved into a very different beings. So this whole understanding of Hinduism also need to be redefined. Now, why I'm talking about that with respect to self-development, what I've realized is that each and every god and goddesses represent a different dimension, a different cosmic dimension, the different kind of self-development which we can imbibe. And as I said, it is the quickest route to self-development. We all work on, becoming better. We make efforts. Let's say if we want to become more courageous, then we go for trekking. We want to become rich, so we will read the Napoleon Hills and, think and grow rich. So we make efforts. And what I have found is that the efforts which the quickest way to evolve in all these dimensions is to connect with these gods and goddesses. And I myself gone on so many pilgrimages to so many very potent and vibrant people in so many wonderful places, and I felt the extremely high vibrations. Those have descended in me, and that descendance itself has given me a new dimension of knowledge, intelligence, courage, everything. So that's what I call is the easiest way for self-development. Uh, I remember in 2013, I went to very powerful caves, the Vyas cave, which is in Badrinath. It is said that Maharshi Vyas wrote all his scriptures, the Bhagavad, the Mahabharat, the Puranas, everything there. And there I had a very deep connection with him. And ever since that day, he started to guide me. So exactly that's when I started to work on yoga cycles. And so much was revealed to me. Really, I've done so much research in past 8 years. My book is almost ready, where I have compiled all these research. And it is such a deep research, but I really never felt that I'm doing it. I was always guided into the right path. I had the questions, and I was always given the answers like I was being guided. And Maharshi Vyas wrote the Tales of Gods and Goddesses. And tapping into his field, I was guided into how the gods and goddesses uh, have evolved in today's times. And that's a lot of work we have done in Quanto Life to discover the more contemporary dimensions of gods and goddesses, and I will be also talking about that. So basically, we think normally that for self development we have to make efforts, but that's the conscious efforts. We know that much bigger than conscious is subconscious, maybe 10 times bigger or 100 times bigger than conscious, and even thousands of times bigger or infinite time bigger is a superconscious. So there are three dimensions of self development. One is a conscious, another is to dissolve the subconscious blocks, and the third dimension is to connect to the superconscious beings, or what we call the gods and goddesses. So uh, now, unfortunately, in Hinduism, because this religion was created in higher conscious yugas, there are no ways to dissolve the subconscious. That dimension of dissolving subconscious is almost absent from Hinduism. And that's what I feel, that's why I feel there was a downfall of Hinduism, because that dimension existed so abundantly in Buddhism. And that is why you see in today's world, the Buddhist nations are doing much better. Even in Corona times, it were all the Buddhist nations, they hardly got impacted by Corona. Whether it is Japan, Taiwan, Korea, China, Vietnam, all the Buddhist nations, they remained away because they were very practical with today's reality. They were very the Buddhas had spoken about looking at the reality of the world. So that is a dimension of subconscious. So I would like to now explain very practically. I would like to take you on the experiential journey of how the quick self-development can happen when we connect to these cosmic divine beings. So as we know that we have the trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, and we have another trinity called Kali, Lakshmi, and Saraswati. So let me just explain a bit about what are their evolutionary dimensions, and probably that would bring a lot of clarity to you. So now, who is Brahma? What Brahma represents? I know a lot of you will know that what is the role of Brahma? We know that Brahma is the creator, right? But actually, when we pass through the Kali Yuga, the survival was the key. We had to survive. So there was no place for creative instinct. And that is why it was said that if you worship Brahma, you will be destroyed. And that is why there was only one temple of Brahma in whole of India, that was in Pushkar. But now we see all around us, we are in the era of knowledge, right? So today's best corporation, the best companies in the world, they are knowledge based. Our whole life revolves around the knowledge. So we are actually back in Brahma's time. So we are living the Brahma's time, where we live, we imbibe Brahma all the time. So with the reference to, that Brahma in today's time represents the creation through synthesis. What is a synthesis? Synthesis means uh, there are paradoxes in our lives, and when those paradoxes become one, a creation happens. If you see one big change which has happened in today's time in comparison to what used to be there 30 years back, 30 years back, the people who were successful, they were very focused people. But today, if you look around among the successful people, you wouldn't find focused people. Today's time is not for focus. Today, all the successful people are highly multi-talented. So it's not the time to focus, but it is time to integrate the paradoxes. So there are various capabilities and you integrate them into one. That synthesis is the principle of Brahma. Now, for each of these gods, goddesses, there are anti-gods or anti-principles. These principles are also called demons in Hindu religion. So what is the demon which blocks us to experience Brahma? That demon is our destructive tendencies. And what is our destructive tendencies in today's time? Anytime we obstruct the higher value creation in our own selfishness, that is our destructive tendency. For example, somebody arrives who is more talented than you in your workplace, and you are waiting for your promotion. What happens to you? The first instinct is a fear, the insecurity. Oh my God, my promotion is gone. And under that instinct, we may start to create obstacle for that person. But in fact, we had an opportunity to learn something from that person. If we could just acknowledge, accept that, okay, this person is more knowledgeable, more talented than me, right? So that's our destructive tendencies. Many times we are, in with competitors, we want to defeat them, so we adopt the destructive ways. In trying to enhance our sales, we can speak half truths, which is again a destructive tendency. So these are the subconscious tendencies which are blocking us to experience Brahma. And the way to cross these destructive tendencies is very simple. Today there has been a lot of talk of vibrations of different frequencies. So our subconscious houses a lot of low frequency vibrations, and you can actually experience them in your body. And when you will observe them, they start to release. It's as simple as that. So if you want to experience Brahma, what you need to do is just observe your destructive tendencies as vibrations and invite Brahma to be with you, and you can experience Brahma. And suddenly you would realize that a lot of new creation will begin, a lot of new ideas will begin to flow in your life. Yeah, a lot of right knowledge will arrive at your doorstep. So we have Brahma, and with that we have his cohort Saraswati. Again, about Saraswati, it is said that in Vedas it is said that Saraswati plays the music, and with that music, the mm, the mountains, the rivers, the stars, the animals, everything gets created out of that music. So today's string theory says that everything began as vibrations. And one of my most spiritual experiences have been listening to classical music. And I'm very pleased today that some of my very dear classical musical friends are here. We have Pandit Sugato here, who is a renowned mandolin player. And we are going to have Pandit Abhay Sopori, the famous santoor player. So all the ragas are basically, ragas are described as semi-gods and goddesses, Updevis and Devtas. And I have experienced myself that when you actually listen to these ragas deeply, forget whether you understand classical music or not, they are the vibration structures which get integrated in your being, and every time a new creation will begin. So one of the most creative experiences I've had in my life is to listen to the classical music ragas. So this is what the Brahma and Saraswati is. Now let me describe what is the Vishnu and Lakshmi. So Vishnu, all of you know that he is the protector, right? Uh, in today's terminology, I would like to describe Vishnu as the CEO of the cosmos. Now, what is the function of a CEO? CEO is highly aware of the current realities. So he is aware of what are the challenges which are coming, what are the new possibilities that are opening. He is so well connected from to every part of the ecosystem. He is the observer of reality. He knows what are the resources he has in that moment. He knows what are the challenges which are coming, and he can meet the challenges. That is what the Vishnu is. Now, what is a block to Vishnu? Any kind of projection is a block to Vishnu. Today a lot of people talk about positive thinking. Actually, it's a block. To think positive is a block. To think negative is a block. What is Vishnu? Vishnu is an observer of reality. Because only when you know the reality, you can resolve it. So if you know, uh, we have a lot of friends here from Quanto Life who are into the Quanto Life synthesis processes, sadhana, and we continuously experience the miracles in our life. We live very miraculous life, and the crux of that miracles is very, very simple. Whenever we start to observe the reality, not just on the material plane, it begins from material plane, but on the vibrational planes. The moment you start to observe the vibrations of the problems, the crisis, suddenly those crises start to dissolve. That is a Vishnu consciousness, to be in reality, to observe the vibrations. Now, what is Lakshmi? Lakshmi is how each being of this universe is interrelated. Like there was a famous quote I remember. Okay, I'm forgetting the name. Okay, but that quote said that we are made of star material. The nitrogen we have in us, the iron, the carbon, the all these, yeah, calcium, vitamins. So all these matter did not exist on the earth, because the sun was a star that was under formation. All these, the elements have come from uh, the stars that were collapsing from supernovas. So we are made of the cosmic material, right? So each being of the cosmos is interrelated with each other. All of us learn from each other. So the journey you have gone through, I don't need to go through your journey. I can just listen to it. I can just connect to you, and I can imbibe your journey. So we humans can very quickly learn from each other. And that learning is Ma Lakshmi, right? And why is that the humans are evolving so quickly and not the animals? Because humans have the brains through which they can understand the journey of some other being and imbibe it and take the leap. So our evolution is not just from my own experiences, but by listening to others' experiences too. So this is the consciousness of Lakshmi. Now, what is the block to Lakshmi? The biggest block to Lakshmi is the comparison and jealousy. You would realize that you may have somebody right in your family who is very evolved, and you can learn a lot from that person. But if you are jealous with that person, there is nothing you can learn. So what is the way to connect to Lakshmi? And actually, we say that Lakshmi is the goddess of wealth. Uh, And we always say in Quanto Life that Lakshmi is the consciousness of appreciation. You would realize the people who are rich, they are always the people who can appreciate others wholeheartedly. So the block to Lakshmi is the jealousy. So when you observe the jealousy within you, the vibrations of jealousy within you, when these vibrations merge into the higher vibrations of cosmos, and you invite Lakshmi to be part of you, automatically the prosperity, the abundance start to arrive in your life. So that is the quickest way of self-development. Now let me just speak about the third pair of Trinity, that is the Kali and Rudra. Now that pair is very, very important in today's times, because during Kali Yuga we had so much of subconscious stored in us. And that subconscious is constantly erupting, and Rudra is nothing but the cosmic mechanism of awareness. By the way, if you want to go deeper into all these divine dimensions, the gods and goddesses, and what is their relevance today, you can go to our YouTube channel. It's called Quanto Life, and I have lots of videos there. So what is Rudra? Rudra is basically the awareness, to become aware who I am and not to live in any false projections. So is
Shiva,
there
we
a
actually have overshot about 10 minutes. So I'm so sorry to cut
time?
short, but we would definitely like to
Right.
listen more. And this is such a topic, such an interesting one that
Can I
we
just
don't
complete in 1 or 2 minutes? Just 2 minutes.
Okay, take a minute and then Ruchi is waiting. Yeah.
So, so how to actually, what is a block to awareness? One of
Mm.
the very simple practice I have suggested to people, that to get connected to Rudra, if you really want to experience the Rudra, the Mahesh, the Shiva, start to seek forgiveness. And I really find the Christianity very beautiful, where there is a lot of importance of confession. So every day start to say sorry for one mistake you made. Maybe you made that yesterday, maybe you made that 1 year back or 5 years back or in your childhood. And as you start to seek apology to God, you, if you talk to that person, great. Even if you are not able to talk to that person, tell God that I made mistake, I'm sorry about it, and you will start to get connected with Rudra. And it is the Kali who brings the asuric being, the demonic beings. She befriends them, mothers them, so that they can also turn into the divine beings. So from the stage of asuras, she brings them to the feet of Shiva. That is the job of Kali. So Kali is a primal energy, and when you actually connect with Kali, you will start to feel, you will start to see that a lot of your darkness inside start to actually blast into the divine energy, right? So these are the dimensions of these gods and goddesses, and they are actually our quickest route to self development.
Thank
Thank you
you
very
so
much.
much, Shiva. Thank you so much.